And welcome back, friends. Java John here. This is the acoustic record filling in for the gals on What's Happening Brevard today. Thank you, Jackie and Susan, for letting me take up your time here and play Beatles all afternoon. And along with playing Beatles, we've chatted with a couple. We've got our second guest on the line here. This is James Lowe from the fabulous Electric Prunes. James, are you there?
The fabulous Flaming Electric.
The fabulous Flaming Electric Prunes. Cool. I like it.
Hi, John.
Hey, how you doing, bud?
All right.
Sounds good. I feel like your signal's a little weak there.
John, most people don't tell me that, but
your signal is definitely out there, huh?
Okay, I'll scream at you.
You don't have to scream. I thought that would be a cue. One of the guys might rush in here and turn something up because I don't know which button to turn up, but we'll see what happens. That's better. How's it going, bud?
It's going great.
Good. It was a
sunny California day, and I'm sure you're doing the same there in Florida.
Yeah. I think we're getting up to. I think we're about 77 today.
Right.
Yeah, we capped off our weekend winter yesterday with, I think it was about 70. And everybody suffered through 2 days of vicious 40 to 60 degree weather.
And now you're there playing the Beatles.
Playing Beatles, yes. Having fun playing Beatles. It's been fun, and this last set was fun because I had the opportunity to, segue into the interview with you. I played a little Cheese and Onions by the Ruttles. What's the New Mary Jane by the Beatles, which is probably the most psychedelic thing that they ever did, which, of course, I don't think was ever even released as a recording until the anthology disc. Played a little bit of It's Johnny's Birthday from George Harrison's All Things Must Pass, and went right into Too Much to Dream last night. And it fit very nicely. It made a nice little...
Thank you.
So I've been debating with myself mostly. When I asked you to be a part of this today, I wanted to know maybe what kind of an influence the Beatles had on you and or the Electric Prunes. But in thinking through this, I'm thinking you guys might have had more of an influence on them.
Well, that's wishful thinking. Nobody from that time couldn't have been influenced by the Beatles. I mean, from the first chord in Hard Day's Night, I think everybody was hooked. It was the most positive rock music I'd ever heard.
Right.
And I think that's the thing that hit me the most about it at first was how it just sounded positive. It sounded aggressive and young and positive. And anybody who tells you they weren't influenced by them is lying. There's no way you couldn't have been influenced by them. They were too good.
It seems that way with everybody that I've talked to, that they've definitely, one way or another, had been influenced by them. I just had somebody in here trying to tweak this sound for me a little bit, so I'm sorry if I'm a little distracted. I'm sorry? Go ahead.
I think influence, that's a funny word, because people have talked to me about that before. Influence, it goes in subconsciously and comes out the other end. I think the Rolling Stones, when they came, they thought they were playing Motown. If you listen to their stuff, it sounded nothing like Motown, but to them, that's what they were doing, sort of copying Motown. And the Beatles were, they were doing Little Richard and everybody, but it turned out to be their own thing.
Exactly.
That's the great thing about it, about music, too, is you can put your own little twist on it, and suddenly it comes out the pipe a different way.
That's true. That's true. We had a little chat with Mark Farner a little earlier, and he was quick to point out that the Beatles sound, the rock and roll that they were presenting, actually, we all know now, but actually they were just trying to do what they listened to before them. They were just trying to do, like you said, the Chuck Berry and the Little Richard and the Buddy Holly and the Elvis. That's who they were emulating. And so
what came through a lot with them, after playing in England, we realized where they came from. They had to play the cabaret stuff, which when you play those kind of venues, they want you to play all the old songs. And in England, there was quite that tradition of skiffle music and, a lot of the older kind of music. And they had to play all those songs, so they needed to know all those chord inversions and weird things. Where rock and roll in America was more 3-chord.
Right.
The Beatles came in with all these weird suspensions and everything, and and
That's true.
And different forms. I mean, there are only eight notes in the scale, unless you're Stravinsky. But they came in with sort of a different slant on it. Refreshing.
Cool. Yeah. It is interesting, and it's interesting to note. I was talking to my son today. My son's 9 years old, and he loves the Beatles. And sometimes he has to shut me up, because I do. I spew all this crap in my head, upon him. And, I was trying to explain to him the difference between, I said there was a time, when the Beatles and the Stones were neck and neck all the time, when in reality they were friends. And, but it was interesting, like you say, to see the influence prior to them and what came out. But it was interesting also looking back on it. Of course, I don't think we saw it then, but looking back on it now to see the influence and that's why I include the Electric Prunes, because to see the influence of the Beach Boys on the Beatles, the Rolling Stones on the Beach Boys and the Beatles, the Motown on the Beatles on Motown, to see everybody influencing each other, I think only in hindsight we can really see it.
They really lit the fuse. That's how I look at them.
Yeah.
They really lit the fuse on the thing. It became a younger person's medium when they got in. They were the first guys that actually got in there, except for Brian, got in there and got involved in the recording. They hooked up with George Martin, which was brilliant, a guy that was absolutely a genius
Yes,
in
sir.
the studio. And all these great things came about because they were standing in the right place at the right time and had the stuff. That's the main thing. They had the stuff. They weren't manufactured. They had it.
And the chops. The chops, they definitely had time to work on their chops, eh?
And as you said, I just went to a birthday party for my granddaughter. She's 14. Hannah's her name, and she had a Beatle birthday party. I was just amazed. They played A Hard Day's Night. She got Beatle shirts and Beatle records and Beatle. I went, wait a minute, you're 14. You're not even supposed to know about. Oh, she knew everything about them.
I love that.
And isn't that wonderful? Music transcending that kind of a time period is just amazing to me. I didn't listen to my father's music very much, and for her to be listening to her granddad's music is
yeah, very cool. I love that. And happy birthday to Hannah if she's listening.
Okay, I hope she is. She's in Memphis.
Oh yeah, well she's on our timeline then, so she's not.
Memphis or Nashville, one of those.
She's not. She should be out of school by now then, so she might be able to be listening.
She could be.
There was interesting. I read this earlier, and I'm going to read it again because I got this book here called "The Beatles: Every Little Thing: A Compendium of Wit and Weird and Never Surprising Facts." And it says, after the Beatles' Ed Sullivan appearance, reactions by the press were not all positive. Newsweek had printed, "Visually, they are a nightmare. Tight, dandified Edwardian beatnik suits and great pudding bowls of hair. Musically, they are near disaster. Guitars and drums slamming out merciless beat that does away with secondary rhythms, harmony, and melody." And I found that very amusing.
Okay, that right there should just about tell you what reviews are worth.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
It's the guy that turned them down. I mean, there's some jerk that turned down the Beatles at one point.
The Decca guy, yeah.
And it's just, people aren't paying attention. They sure aren't. And, the funny thing about those pudding haircuts is that a month later, everybody in town had one.
Everybody had them. Yeah. Of course, it took me a couple of years to convince Mom that I still had to have a crew cut for a few more years. But I finally got my pudding bowl cut after. I don't know why that phrase didn't catch on. Mop top pudding. I like pudding bowl better.
I think it's more appropriate anyway.
Oh, all right. Let's see. Let's chat a little bit about the Prunes, if we may.
Okay.
When did you guys come together?
We came together actually in 1965. Which was after the Beatles. We got our first release in '66, and actually released "I Had Too Much to Dream" last night in '66, which was the record most people know us for.
Right.
And we were in the Easy Rider soundtrack, which I don't know if most people know about that.
Yeah.
Back then, it was the motorcycle movie. And,
oh yeah.
We had a couple of records. Three albums that we put out, and disappeared for a while, and now we're back playing again. We've been playing for the last 5 or 6 years.
I was very excited when I found that out 5 or 6 years ago or so. I contacted you guys. I think it was about 7 years ago, and I let you know about a fundraiser I was doing, and you helped me out on that. And you also sent a picture that we proudly displayed in our coffee house the length of the time that we were open, and always had that dream to bring somebody like you to the venue.
You don't want to sell me that picture, do you?
Sell it to you? What, are you all out?
We can't afford our old albums. People are selling these albums for a couple of $100.
Man.
I'm just kidding.
Hey, if you need it, it's yours. It was a nice one.
I still got a phone number. Come on, you call me.
It was that wide. It was a big shot, and with you guys running. Jumping the Beatle type black and white shot. It was a beautiful picture. I still got it. I broke the frame on it, so it's not framed right now. But
that's the cover of the Underground album.
Right. Yes. So 1965. You say after the Beatles. So were a lot of you guys compelled to put together a rock and roll band because of the Beatles?
I think everybody was.
It seems what happened.
It was what was going on. You know. I mean, if there was any way to sort of let out or vent your frustrations or get out in front of people, it was to be in a band. I mean, there were little garages everywhere were humming with people playing music. You know, it was a fever that was kind of going around.
Right.
And they started it. I mean, if anybody lit it off, it was them.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. So then, as you said, so the band puts out 3 albums, and then laid low for many years. Came back on the scene with. Which was the first one that came on? Artifact. These were collections, right?
Right.
And then what was the first new studio album by the Electric
the new studio album was Artifact, yes.
Oh, that was Artifact.
Right. We had a record called Lost Dreams, which was all of that's sort of what got us back together. Warner's kind of contacted us.
Warner's put that out.
Wanted to put Reprise Warner's, yes. They wanted to put out a compilation of something, and so we put together the Lost Dreams package, and then before they could ever get it out, I don't think it came out on Warner Brothers. It came out on Birdman, the producer of Warner Brothers record.
The Lost Dreams?
Yes.
Yes, that's what I have in my hand here. Yes, on Bird what?
Birdman.
Birdman. Yeah. Interesting compilation, and I love the liner notes in it, or nice tidbits in there. I like it. So then you say Artifact.
I had a little place in my property in Santa Barbara, a little studio, and so I thought, we got together and mixed this record up, and we said, gee, it'd be fun to play something again. So we started playing, and I had a recorder in there, so we started recording, and that's what the album Artifact came from.
Cool.
I thought, you know what, we can make a record on our own. We don't need anybody. So that. Today's technology is so wonderful, you can actually make a record at home. It's even easier now than it was 7 years ago.
Yes.
And so we put it out on our own little label, and we're satisfied with the response. We got a lot. We played in a number of live concerts in Spain and England and Greece and New York even.
Well, I saw that DVD that you put out, and that was great. It looked like the crowds were loving it, and you guys definitely put on the psychedelic show. Very, 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 very energetic, I guess is the word that I'm looking for.
Right, good energy. Yeah.
Very energetic. So then that brings us up to now. You've got Feedback is the new release, correct?
We did Artifact. We did another album, California, which was reflective about the 60s, and the new album is called Feedback, which this is probably the apex. This is probably the top of it. This is taking all the skills from the past and everything and just putting them all in one simple package. It's not long, not complicated, rather simple.
Well, nice. All right. Well, I want to play a track after that, after we take a commercial break here in a few minutes. Maybe I can get you to hang around through the break and chat with me for just a few more minutes.
Cool, sure.
Okay. Before we get to the break, I wanted to ask you about, I do a segment on every Wednesday morning. It's called Your Space on the Acoustic Record. And I feature artists that I've come in contact with on the MySpace music pages. And I just collect up songs. I ask them to send me MP3s from around the world, play different artists here and there. Many of them are new and unheard outside of their communities. But a lot of them are fellows like yourselves, just all kinds of musicians and bands that either have been laying low for many years or whatever. How do you feel that the Electric Prunes MySpace page has served you guys?
Well, I haven't had that much personal contact with it, but I think it's a great idea. I mean, what a great interface with people. And you actually can play your song. What I like is you can put your song up there, somebody clicks on your space, and they get to hear your music. And what could be better than that?
Exactly. Well, and that's why I said I did this thing, and a couple of months ago I heard this song, and I looked at the pictures in the guy's thing there, and it looked like he was recording in his closet. And he's like in Amsterdam or somewhere. And I emailed him. He emailed me some songs. I said, well, would you like to call in on the show? So in a matter of a couple of days, I've read this guy's bio. I listened to his music. I've invited him on the show. And then he's making an international phone call. And it's brilliant to me. It's just amazing. It's brilliant. It blows my mind.
It's the world as one, isn't it?
Yes,
really?
Sir. All right, there's my cue for a break, James. If you will, hang on the line. We'll come back right after this break. Thank you, sir.
You're listening to the only locally owned and operated radio station on the Space Coast of Florida, broadcasting to the entire world with variety entertainment programming content that is not politically nor religiously influenced or biased. Maintaining an entirely self-sustaining backup hurricane bunker at a secondary physical location, complete with our own large commercial generators and fuel supplies at both studios to serve our community and the nation in the event of any disaster. Ride the power of the wave with TropicWaveRadio.net.
Hi, this is James Lowe, and you are listening to Java John's, the acoustic record, on TropicWaveRadio.net.
Cool. Perfect.
Did I mess it up?
I don't know. I think it was fine. Sounded good to me. We'll throw a little feedback on that. It'll be perfect.
Please do. Hi.
How many effects pedals do you have, James?
You know, it's funny. Our lead guitar player plays with about 50 pedals hooked together. It's an absolute nightmare going through these airlines now with all this electronic gear.
Oh, man.
And they're all hooked together on these pedal boards.
Unreal.
He can recreate anything live.
And the guitarist is?
Steve Cara is playing live with us now.
Okay.
Ken Williams is our lead guitar player, but he doesn't go on the road with us. He's still recovering from some neck surgery. So.
Well, get better, Ken.
Get better, Ken.
Yeah, man. We send you our best. Let's see. Gear. Do you know a guy out there? A gearhead out there that rents gear. A guy named Curtis. Does that ring a bell to you?
Curtis?
Yeah, out in Southern Cal.
No.
Friend of mine. I'll have to pass his info on to you guys in case you ever need anything.
Oh, cool.
A guy I grew up with out here in the Cocoa Beach area, and I knew he was going to be a big rock and roll star someday. Well, and he did well for himself, but he never hit the big time. But then one day, I guess he was telling me a story recently that he was sitting around the house, and the wife said, this rock and roll thing ain't working so much. You got to do something else. And he's looking at his house, and he's going, well, what am I going to do with all these pedals? Because he's a pedal freak. And he had the idea to open up a shop. I guess this is probably 10 or 15 years ago, and rent gear. So he started renting out his own gear. And apparently he rents to all the guys that he did. He ended up going... taking time to be a guitar tech. He guitar teched for Little Feat for 10 years. He went out with Axl Rose's Guns N' Roses when they went out 3 or 4 years ago. He was with them, and just came off the road with Def Leppard. Uh-huh. So when he's not guitar teching for these guys, he's out in L.A. and it might just be called LAURS, Lors. gear or something like that. I don't know what it is. I'm surprised he did. He was a Beatle freak. I should have had him call in today.
See,
he should have called it Lowe's Fab Gear.
Well, who knows? Maybe this will get to him somehow, and he'll call in.
I don't know. It's not even getting to me. How's it going to get to him? James. I'm kind of wandering off right now, so let me reel this back in here. Let's see. So we were talking, I think, offline about the band touring off the phone, and what's in the touring plans for the band?
We just got back from doing something in Spain, in Leon, Spain. It was called the Purple Festival, which was really great. We played with Akula Shakur, English band.
Yeah, I love them.
Haley Mills' son, I think, is the lead singer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Or is it son? Yeah, I guess it is her son. And we're scheduled to do something in Italy and something in the UK here this summer. And maybe who knows? We want to do some touring in the U.S.
Yeah.
The European audiences have accepted us. We've never were known well over here, and we would really like to be able to, trek around the U.S. a little bit. So we're looking into that.
No, we'd like to have you down here in Florida, so we'll have to see how that works out. I'll pass some info on to you if I can. I do remember reading a little. I think I read it on your website about the show at the Purple Fest and something about lost gear.
I guess it's famous. Part of the band went through Paris, from L.A. to Paris to Madrid, and part of the band went from L.A. to Chicago to Madrid. Well, the ones that went through Paris, which was all the pedals, all the equipment, all the clothing, everything was in that stuff. None of the luggage ever got there. So we were there 4 days, and it was supposedly promised by the airline every day. We never got it. So, but by the time, in fact, when we finished, we were leaving Madrid. The luggage finally got there, so they had to turn around and ship it back. So we had no guitars, no pedals, no clothes. I had to lend the guitar player a shirt to wear. We went there nude.
But wow! Well, there's a whole new festival idea.
Not at our age.
But then apparently all the other bands pitched together and gave you guys the Frankenstein the gear together for you, and
absolutely everybody pitched in stuff.
And came off,
and we were able to go on. It was
cool.
Really, really nice. And the promoters were very understanding. They went to a music store there and got some stuff. Very, very nice.
Excellent. That's always nice to hear the lighter side, the good side of rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
For rock and roll should be used for good.
Rock and roll is alive and well around the world, man. As we go to these places, we go into Greece or we go, wherever it is that we are, anywhere, Spain, the UK, anywhere. They're great audiences. It's not rowdy. It's, it's wholesome and healthy, and it's musical. It's much more musical than it used to be. People actually know what they're talking about and listening to.
Cool. That's nice to hear. People look at me like I'm crazy, and after all these years, I still, I love to go out. I love to support the local guy down the street, and I still love to go see Aerosmith. I like to see them all. Can't wait. Next month we're going over to see Who.
Ooh, cool.
The Who are playing in Tampa.
All right.
It's the last night on their tour, and so it may end up being the last time they play the U.S. I'm excited.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I didn't think that I ever wanted to see them again because I saw them in 1976, and I thought, they were at their peak. Moon was there. I wasn't sure, but now I'm starting to get excited. The new material is good. So,
great.
I wanted to ask you, because we're running out of time here, I wanted to ask you about the single. Is this one being released as a single, the song Feedback, the title track from the...
we're just not releasing anything as anything. It's just thrown out there
as
an
on
album.
The CD, yeah.
Available on our website. Are you allowed to say where they
That's
get
true.
it?
We should say the electricprunes.net would be a place to go. Is there another place?
Everybody thinks it's .com, but that's the old stuff. .net is
you're on the cutting edge.
The present material.
The www.electricprunes.net. And how about, do you know what the MySpace is? Is it MySpace?
It's MySpace/Prune Twang. One word. PRUNETWANG. Somebody else had already taken Electric Prunes, so we actually ended up being friends with ourselves.
Oh, very cool. So this non-single feedback, I'm going to play that here in just a minute. Maybe you can tell me a little bit about that. Is there anything to tell?
It probably was when we were playing back in the 60s, that was the cool thing. Everybody would get their guitar neck and lay it down on the amp and get the amp to do that circular thing it does when you crank everything up. And what came out was an effect that was greater than any single note. It sounded like 25 notes being played together. And I've been to things where people played that stuff for hours on end, which isn't as appealing as it is to write it into a song. And this is probably a pretty psychotic theme, but feedback is the thread that holds it all together.
Cool. Well, listen, James, it's been a pleasure to have you on with me today. I wish you guys all the luck. I hope you get to come down to Florida, and I want to play feedback now for you and the people out there, and I want to dedicate it and the track that I'll play afterward to your granddaughter, Hannah, for her birthday. Happy birthday, Hannah.
All right.
James,
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Java John, we need people like you. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Radio.
We will. We'll have to do this again sometime, friend.
All right.
All righty. I'm going to put you on hold for a minute and talk to you for a second. Here is feedback from. I hope it's feedback. Here we go.